What if I told you your higher power was using this chronic illness as a way to get your attention, to bring you towards a life that actually was more fulfilling in the end, where simpler was better, where you were actually doing the things that align with your purpose, your true self, that you finally had happiness, you finally had everything that you wanted, and it was all through overcoming this illness and overcoming the thought processes and the self-sabotage and the counterproductive behavioral patterns that were keeping you in the place that you were. What if I told you that your higher power was using this illness for your greater good, for you to get to a place that you never would have got to unless you had gone through this illness and overcame it and saw things from both sides? You know, what if I told you that this was all going to be your greatest blessing, that the illness itself was your opportunity to realign with your higher self, your higher power, and really find that version of you that would make you happy with yourself and fully fulfilled and not feeling like you need to improve. There was no more self-criticism. There was no more doubt. There was just faith. The fear was gone. You finally felt like life was worth living and that you were fully happy in the moment. You were able to be present. We weren't always looking forward to the next thing. We're always looking forward to the thing that you feared or the thing that you were craving. You know, you were in the moment. You were there with your family, with yourself, with your children, with all the things that mattered. You were fully present. This is what I realized when I got over my chronic illness, that God was guiding me the whole time, that it was a blessing, that God was trying to get my attention. My higher power was trying to get my attention to lead me towards a life that was less focused on self-sabotage activities and approval from others and, you know, and labeling everything and, you know, having more material possessions and acquiring things and feeling accepted by others. All these things that weren't important. What was most important was being right with myself and my higher power and following my purpose, my direction to a place that would fulfill me and leave me feeling like all of what happened in my life was worth it, that it was all a blessing, you know? So the point is, your higher power is trying to get your attention through this illness. You cannot go ahead and neglect the lesson, not neglect the message, because if you do, then you'll stay stuck in it. You have to start leaning more on your higher power, lean on that faith, believe that you're gonna get better, start to go ahead and ask your higher power for guidance. Follow your intuition with full faith and trust. This is what I did. It worked for me. It worked for me, you know? It really did. Without my higher power, I would have never got better, would have never been guided to the things that got me better, would have never been able to help other people who were sick, would have never found the supplements that got me better, would have never realized what foods were making me sick, would have never realized that mold was in my environment making me sick, you know, would have never realized that all these thoughts I was having in my head were affecting how I was feeling, you know? And my higher power just removed the wool from that was over my eyes and allowed me to see these things. And it can happen to you too. You just have to be able to realize that this illness is working for you, not against you. Trust me on that, okay? And when you're at the end of it and you have no more symptoms, you look back on it, you'll realize all the advantages, all the benefits that came from the illness. So don't give up. You're almost there. You're closer than you realize.